shit, baby. You got bugs on you. I'm gonna help you.
There's bugs on us?
No bugs on you. Just urine.
Oh,
Yes.
Just calm down.
Take the shit off.
I got you.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who's it's your girl KylerB coming at you for a new video. Today we're going to be talking about the Traitors US Season 2 Episode 8, and let's get right into the video. So we left the episode off of Parvati and Phaedra deciding who to murder out of the 5, which was MJ, Parvati, Fergie, Trishelle, and Kevin. So they came to breakfast. Everybody's coming to breakfast. They're coming down, whatever. You know, everybody out of the 7 that's safe. You know, there's 5 that's not. So we get to the last few people, and it turns out it's between Fergie, Trishelle, or Parvati. But Parvati's a traitor, so obviously Fergie got murdered. I feel like it was a good decision to try to take out somebody out of Peter's camp, because Peter's camp was basically trying to lead the masses of who to pick or who to put or who to vote out or who to banish, because they were like having this like group, and that group was basically almost going to be the majority at that point in time. So Phaedra and Parvati murdered Fergie. It was most likely Parvati's decision to murder Fergie, which was the decision to take out somebody out of Peter's camp. But this morning, Trishelle, she was noticing Phaedra's actions and reactions to situations. And obviously when Dan got banished, Dan basically was calling out Phaedra. And Trishelle was the only one at that point in time to pick up, well, the only reason Dan is throwing somebody's name out is because he's trying to give them a traitor before he leaves. So with that being said, yeah, so Trishelle was like, instead of trying to get out of a known traitor, which is Parvati, let's try to get out somebody like Phaedra. Phaedra has the numbers on her side. People are going to want to vote her out. You know, people are going to keep her in because, you know, Phaedra, she is a housewife. All the Bravo girls are going to stick together. You know, Parvati is a lone wolf. After Dan left, Parvati's on her own. And a lot of people already, you know, didn't like her, already feel like she was a traitor. So, you know, they're like, you know what, let's bring in Parvati. You know, let's work. She's going to use anything to save herself. So, and then try to take out Phaedra. So, yeah, they were pivoting from Parvati and going to Phaedra. And Phaedra didn't know this information at all. So when today's mission had Dr. Will, and Dr. Will, it was basically the mission at the cabin. And they have to, you know, go through this tunnel in this cabin out, you know. And then while doing so, some people have to stay in that house and some people have to go through tunnels. And while that's happening, bugs, maggots, you know, they're being sprayed with urine, you know, while this is happening, and they're trying to collect $20,000. And it was too much, because MJ got out the game, Cherie got out the game, Phaedra left the game, and Kate left the game, and which lost them $4,000. While they did receive, or they ended up getting $15,000, but since they lost the $4,000, they ended up having $11,000 into their pot, which got them up to $114,000. So that's pretty good. That mission was just too much for them. Like, they had to get out. They had to get out that house. But Dr. Will, he was just throwing the maggots on these people. Like, it was just so gross and disgusting. So Trishelle is basically leading the pack and basically saying, let's all vote out Phaedra. Let's all vote out Phaedra. Parvati is like, it sucks that I have to vote out a fellow traitor, but it's either Phaedra or herself. So she went along with the plan that Peter was suggesting, like, you know, let's work together, you know, we're gonna vote out Phaedra. I feel like Phaedra is the traitor and not you. But he already knows that Parvati is a traitor. Like, he just going along with Trishelle's plan. Trishelle is using, you know, Phaedra's reactions at the breakfast table. Then Kevin noticed, you know, Phaedra's twitch, her eye twitches up sometimes. So they were using those two things, and then they used the Dan thing. So when they got to the round table, Phaedra was basically out of the loop. She didn't know like they were coming for her. Like she stepped into a room and everyone got silent and started walking away. Like Kate left to go to the bathroom, CT left, you know, everybody left except for John. And before the round table, Parvati goes up to John, talks to him, and then she starts like putting on the waterworks and telling John like, you know what, you know, I was just only, you know, led astray by Dan, da, 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 da. But let's get back to this. We get to the round table, and you know, Parvati says again that she was just led astray by Dan, you know, da 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 da. And then Trishelle comes in with her note. She's like, you know, your reactions at the breakfast table, like you're not scared at getting murdered, da da da. You feel like you know who's always not coming to breakfast or whatever. And then she also says that, you know, talks about the Dan situation, which was a big thing. You know, like, why would Dan bring up her name? Which I feel like he can go in either way, because people are saying like, you know, Dan is only doing that because he's just trying to get out of the situation, while, you know, they're saying he's doing that so he can absolve him from being a traitor, which was obviously the latter, you know, try to take the scent off of him by giving them a real traitor. So that is what he was doing at his final hour, which obviously didn't work. So, you know, Kate was backing Phaedra and was like, every minute I've been hearing Parvati, and now all of a sudden Phaedra is the one that needs to go. Like, you guys are not being consistent.
I'm defending Phaedra because I think it's weird that you were so Parvati all the time, and then you actually say to her, do you want to work together? You switched it to Phaedra, and really the whole thing that your whole big case is relying on is the fact that Dan, being this great, brilliant game player, he must have been giving you a clue on the way out. No, he just sucked at playing this game. That's why he's not here.
Every minute was always Parvati, always Parvati, always Parvati, always Parvati. And now, out of nowhere, oh, Phaedra switches, you know, her reactions, da 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 da, the Dan situation. And it's just like, it's not making sense. So Kate had, you know, Phaedra's back. John, out of nowhere, even after hearing Parvati's little sob story before the round table, he was like, you know, you're probably a Duchess of Deception and a Mistress of Murder. And I'm just like, you know, Parvati was so shook because she thought she had him good with that little cry story, even though she knows she was just manipulating him. And he was just like, you know what? You and Dan are probably like thick as thieves, you know, partner in crime, which is very true. Because when Dan recruited Parvati, it was definitely to be somebody to be a partner in crime with. Like, he's looking at either Sandra or Parvati, but Parvati seems more like, okay, whatever Dan says, she was gonna do. Like, Parvati was basically doing whatever Dan says. Like, you know, when Dan was trying to get Phaedra on the hook, and Phaedra had to be like, nah, you're not about to throw me on the bus. Because Dan wanted Phaedra to be the first traitor to go if anything happens. And look where we at. So they voted, and it was a 7-4 vote in, you know, Phaedra's favor. You know, she had her number, she had her back. You know, CT's vote, CT was like, why would I vote for somebody who lit my torch on, you know, the words of a known liar? Like, he literally had Phaedra's back. Which also goes to show, when Parvati wanted Phaedra to light her torch, that would have been the dumbest thing ever, because people would just link you two together. You know, there's no real link between Parvati and Phaedra at all. Nobody can really say, okay, they're really close together inside the house. But for Dan and Parvati, it was very obvious that they were working together under some type of situation. And obviously, if Dan's a traitor, maybe Parvati's a traitor. Like, who knows? You know, and her saving, you know, Phaedra saving CT basically saved her a vote. Kate also voted for Parvati, so that was like the final thing. I mean, we do have to give Parvati her props, because Parvati did fight to the last moment. She did fight. You know, she was here more longer than she could have been. She did fight. But I think it really started with the shield situation. And didn't do that and try to get Bergie out, you know. he didn't get, he was trying to get Burger out, and Burger had the shield. If that whole shield situation didn't go through, they wouldn't have gotten Dan just yet. You know, they probably would have got him out at some point, but they wouldn't have got him that quickly. But because of that whole shield debacle, that was the downfall, because Peter only told them 3. He only told those 3 people. That was the only thing that kind of linked them together, is the Dan, Parvati, and CT, and only Dan and Parvati was the only suspicious people out of the 3. So at the end of the day, if that whole shield thing didn't happen, it wouldn't be going down like this. But Dan and Parvati was acting suspicious from day dot. And they also have to put in consideration that, you know, Dan and Parvati was trying to, you know, pivot Phaedra to be the one to be the first traitor out, because they know Phaedra was playing such a great game. And I'm just like, if they would have fallen in Phaedra's footsteps and tried to play as her, or try to be like, okay, if Phaedra's being under the radar, maybe I should try to be under the radar. But they didn't do that. They wanted to do what they wanted to do, and then they get sent home. They got banished. So then Phaedra's the last traitor, so she's by herself. So Alan says, you know, you have the choice of, you know, asking someone to be a traitor, one of the people to be a traitor, and if they accept, they're a traitor, and if they don't accept, they're murdered. So, you know, Phaedra asked for Kate to have that, you know, ultimatum. So I feel like Kate would accept to be a traitor, of course, because that's what she wanted to be ever since. And once she meets Phaedra face to face, you know, hopefully they take out Peter, because Trishelle ended up getting a shield, and if they try to get Trishelle out at any point, they do have a chance to murder somebody together. Then getting out Trishelle that same night would be wrong. I would say go for Peter. It was kind of surprising that John had Phaedra's back as well, because he's in Peter's crew. So, and then Kevin's also thinking that Peter's a little suspect. So it's not looking good for Peter. So, but the thing is, if Peter gets killed, you know, then the focus is going to be back on Phaedra. So it depends on how they work through this whole situation though, together, to who to kill, because Trishelle has a shield. So we ended the episode with, you know, Kate being into this dungeon and waiting to be asked this ultimatum of, you know, if she wants to be a traitor of Phaedra, or, you know, she's murdered. And to be honest, Kate's murder, it's not going to really affect a dynamic really much, because that just leaves a 1 less number for Phaedra. That was episode 8 of the Traitors US. Like I said, Trishelle really was the downfall that's coming on Phaedra right now, but I'm glad that Phaedra did survive this vote. Let's see how she does survive. I've been saying from day dot that Phaedra is going to be the last traitors out of the whole group of them, because Dan and Parvati is not playing a decent game at all. But then Parvati did fight to the last moment, and, you know, they got 2 traitors. It was like the first, probably the fastest time people got traitors out in this show. But yeah, and the thing is that if they didn't have that little light your torch situation, and they had a banishment, Sandra's game plan could have saved Parvati, because Sandra was helping Parvati out with that game plan. But because they had that light your torch situation, Parvati's, you know, saving game plan, you know, situation just basically got thrown out the window, and that ended up in the next banishment being Parvati. But until next episode, next time, if you guys like this video, like the video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns, and yeah, not subscribe to my channel, subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.